Hey, welcome back to Faraday Studios. It's so good to see you again. It's getting to be a bigger crowd too. Thank you so much for so many people showing up. You'll notice my desk is a little barren. It's because we went to London to the Royal Institution of Great Britain. And while we were there, our good buddy Dan, who's head of science demonstrations at the RI, prepared a couple just for you. And I'd like you to see one of them right now.
Hi, my name's Dan. I'm coming to you from the theatre of the Royal Institution in Great Britain, and this is Midnight Science Club. The Wizard is busy getting ready for a show he's going to do here later on, so I borrowed Luca, one of the wits, so I could show you some demonstrations to do with the history of the Royal Institution. You up for that?
Yes.
Yes, excellent. There was a guy who worked here called Humphrey Davey, and he did one of the things that we like to brag about a lot, which is discover an element. So you know the elements, they're on the periodic table, and one of them, potassium, was isolated by Humphrey Davey here. And I've got some potassium here in front of us. It's a metal. I've got some sort of tweezers and a knife. These are metals as well. What are the properties of a metal? How would we recognise? How would you recognise a metal?
Well, metals are pretty strong and pretty shiny.
Yeah, pretty shiny. That's quite shiny, isn't it? It's got a bit of oil on it. That's helping, but it's a little shiny. But yeah, strong, hard. You said potassium, not that hard. I can actually chop this up with a knife. Look at that. You can see it's really shiny on the inside there once I've chopped it up.
Well, that's really awesome, but what does that have to do with the volcano?
Oh, yes. So Humphrey Davey discovered another really interesting thing about potassium, and he wanted to demonstrate that to people in this very theatre. And he did it with a model of a volcano. Do you want to see the demonstration that he did?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this chopped up bits of potassium, and we're going to put them into the top of the volcano up here. And we're not going to want to be that close to this. So I have a little mechanism here that's going to squirt some water in from the end of this tube, but come with me because we're going to want to be back here. You take that plunger for me, Luca, and you're going to push some air in, which is going to push some water out of there. Not bad, lots of smoke. I got a little bit of a puff of sparks there, don't we?
Yeah. That was really cool.
Nice. So there is a chemical reaction happening between the water and the potassium. The potassium is actually stripping the water, so water H2O, it's stripping that hydrogen and oxygen apart so that we actually end up with some hydrogen gas and some potassium oxide or hydroxide. Some of the hydrogen's gone into it, but that hydrogen gas on its own, very flammable gas, and that's actually what catches light. So the hydrogen gas is burning. But did you notice the flame was kind of a pinky colour? Yeah. So it's a flame testing. We know that potassium will give us that pinky colour when we burn it. Wow. Okay, Luca, so I've got this book I wanted to show you. We're going to quick look on the spine there. You see what year that's from?
This is 1812.
1812. So this is a notebook written by somebody who was attending Humphrey Davey's lectures when he did this demonstration. That's how we know he did it. So if I jump through, see, there is a drawing of Humphrey Davey's volcano. So this person had sat in 4 lectures and recorded lots of notes, wrote down what the demonstrations were, and done diagrams like this volcano. But the reason we've kept this notebook is because that person who was sitting in the theatre taking all these notes, if we have a look down here, M. Faraday. Do you know anyone with the initial M called Faraday?
Michael Faraday.
Michael Faraday. So this is before he's a scientist or a natural philosopher, as he might have been called. Before he works here at the Royal Institution, he's here as a guest, watching a lecture. He loves it so much, he writes the notes up and he bounds them into this book, and he hands this book to Humphrey Davey, and I don't know the exact quote, but he basically says, "Have you got any jobs going?" And there's a bit more to that story, but eventually it leads to Michael Faraday getting his first job here at the Royal Institution. And then the rest, as they say, is history.
Hey Dan, that was great. Yeah, that was very impressive. I'm almost jealous, let me tell you. We were in London for about a week recently, and I presented a discourse at the Royal Institution of Great Britain, and that's a lecture on our work, our scientific work that we're doing and the results we've had, and we've been sharing that around the world, and we got to speak in London at the Royal Institution. That's pretty cool. And if you'd like to see it and experience it, go to the Royal Institution YouTube page February 1st. Check it out. They must have picked me because of my good looks, you think? I don't know.